I'm only going to take a couple of minutes because we have an important ceremony to complete here. And they were talking about, James was talking about having your women speak before you, and the power of the estrogen sitting on that row. I basically have no voice left. But the important thing is also. Oh, okay. Oh, he did. I have some time. All right. The important thing also that I'd like to point out is the grandmother over here said, "How many of you are elders?" And I didn't raise my hand. And you know, I'm in that age range that she talked about. But one of the things that I've found in traveling around in Indian country and in the non-Indian world is that sometimes just because you're old doesn't make you an elder. And for me to take that title on myself would be presumptuous. And so I appreciate the fact that she included me with that group. But again, just because you're old doesn't make you an elder. Elders are the ones that carry wisdom. The elders are the ones that have lived through so much and have so much to give. And I think I'm still learning those things. My wife here, my tlahit, spiritual doctor and leader of my people, covered a lot of the things that this tribe, the Winnemem Wintu, are involved in. And I've been sent by her around the world because my name in our language is Yaltinas. Yaltinas means talks back, which she probably says I do all the time anyway, but talks back in this instance means that I listen to what the spiritual people, the people in charge say, and then it's my job to take that information and repeat it back, word for word, and share that message with those people who need to hear it. And so it's a very important job that I've been given. And so when she's talking, it doesn't matter if she talks for 10 minutes or 10 days. I listen to everything she says. And then when I go home, I tell everybody what the message was in that. And so I hope that those of you that were here listened, because I'd hate to have to repeat all of that for you. But I can if necessary. So we're looking at water. Huh? Water is sacred. Sawal Mem, sacred water, sacred life. We have sacred ground, we have sacred fires, we have all of these things that we hold dear and important to us as tribal people, and those of you who are non-Indian people should hold dear to you as well. But one of the things that's happened is that too many of the people in the tribal nations have forgotten the fact that water is sacred. And I know of tribes in California that are now looking at ways to dam their rivers that run through their reservations, run through their traditional lands. And they want to take that water and bottle it, just like companies like Nestle, Dannon, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Aquafina, and the hundreds of other names. They're tribal nations. You can get a bottle of Lakota water. You can get a bottle of water that's marked San Manuel, which is one of the rancheria reservations in Southern California. They've commodified a precious relative, the one that we all come from, as has been said already. When you're those 9 months in your mother's womb, what are you in? You're not in sand. You're not in dirt, hopefully. You're in water. You're in a liquid. And in our creation story, we come out through that spring, as she talked about. It bubbles up to the surface. And that first breath of life that we take is like the breath of life you take when you exit your mother's womb. You leave the water into the air. We left the water into the air. That's our connection to these things. And when we came out, as she mentioned, Salmon was the one who took pity on us because this unintelligible little two-legged thing naked running around had no clue, and nobody could understand what they wanted. So Salmon, of course, said, "I'll give him my voice." But the part that she didn't tell you was that in return, Salmon said, "But you will always speak for me. You will always use that voice, that gift that I've given you, to speak for me, because I'll no longer be able to do that." And our tribal people have forgotten that you have in your creation stories similar obligations to relatives. And so now the Winnemem Wintu, the middle water people, are carrying on that obligation. We had a dam that came along, But before that dam came along in the 1870s, we had a war dance too against the people who built that hatchery. And they were going to take, well, the reason that the war dance was held was because they weren't going to let us have the fish that was, that's our life. That's our relative. They came to give their bodies to us after they spawned. And the government people said, no, you can't take those fish because they'll turn around after they spawn and they'll go back to the ocean. And our people looked at them and went, okay. All right, they may make it back to the ocean in one of those wagons you have there, or in the talons of an eagle or a bear claw, or maybe in your stomach, but not swimming back on their own. And it took them a while to realize that Pacific salmon aren't like Atlantic salmon, and they don't just keep doing this over and over again. Pacific salmon die. And so once that war dance was held and they came to understand that we knew what we were talking about, they allowed us to keep the carcasses. And so they built this reservation, 280 acres, and we thought, how swell, 280-acre reservation, all these little government guys with guns that protect us from all these other people, and all the fish we can have. Except they didn't tell us that that reservation was just for the fish, and when it was destroyed in the 1930s, they kicked everybody off because they didn't rebuild it, and the fish reservation went away, and we were still left on the river. But see, those are those things that are part of the history of the tribe. And the other tribal nations, are very fortunate that you have grandmothers who remember those things, because the women are the carriers of the culture. The Army people made a mistake. When they came here, they said, we're going to shoot all those guys over there. And we'll take these women, but we'll shoot all of them guys. Well, that was their mistake. They should have shot all the women because they have all of the culture and the history. And the guys, when we walk around, everybody goes, why are those Indian men walking around? They don't have anything in their hands. Look at those women are trudging those things, dragging the tribe away, got all the stuff and the kids and, the car seat and all the things that... How come you're not helping them? Well, because our job is to die for them. And if our hands are full of bags of acorns and hides, we can't we'll die, but we want to protect them. And so we need to honor the wisdom that's here, the lore, the knowledge, that intrinsic just vibrancy that comes from these women. We need to honor that always. And that's not just for these in the front. That's for all the women in this room. Because each of you has to have that respect. The same respect that should be shown to water. Now, if I was talking at my own event and this water that's sitting up here, I'd have something in that. Because I'm talking over water. I'd put a little bit of ground up root, or maybe I'll put in a little bit of tobacco in there. Put a little bit of something in that water. Because these are prayers that are being said. We're talking in a way, not just to you, but we're talking to the Creator, because if the Creator don't like what I say, I could just flop over. So the prayers are going in that, and then we take that water, and we might still be able to do that with this one because the prayers are going in that. And at the end of these presentations, and when she's finished with this ceremony, then maybe one of the people, James, you can find somebody to take that water and put it out here on one of your trees and lay a prayer down with it. Because that takes all of our words that we talked, and it lends it to the ground here. So that's the importance of these things. So water is sacred. It's not a commodity. And tonight we have more talking, more rattling around, and we're going to be doing individual things. You're going to hear today about environmental justice issues in water in Oregon and California and around the United States. And tonight I'm going to talk about Shasta Dam and its impact and how one little mole could take it down if we needed it. But I think that for this morning's session, we need to remember, and as the grandmother over here said, you need to give this thanks to this water, because we wouldn't be here without it. We wouldn't be here if this water decided it wanted to go away, or if it was taken away like what happened with Memloans. One of the things that we talk about when I go different places and I talk to students, or I talk to communities, or I talk, I talk anywhere, but wherever I go, the thing that I talk about is this idea that human beings have to have the very last of something, or the very, the biggest one. And so we were asked at ceremony, well, which one in this community that's outside here, who's going to be the one to take that last big tree to build their house on? Who's the one that's going to take the last deer that's there because they're no more. We didn't care for them. The last salmon. Who's the one that's going to be the one to hold up that last little Bugs Bunny and say, look, I got this one, Wascally Wabbit. I got the last one. Who's the one, then, who's going to have the guts to say, I have the last glass of water? Because that's all there is, the last one. Which human being wants to be the one to claim that honor? If it is an honor, to have that last glass. We as human beings need to look at this sacred gift as a sacred gift and do everything we can to preserve it. Those of you who are from outside religions, etc., know that there are different things in your religion that are sacred. Huh? This water is sacred. It has a prayer now that's been dropped in it. Thank you, James. So when this goes outside, these prayers, these things will stick out there. Everything that you're thinking is going in here too. But who is it that's going to fight with those of us who are water warriors and fight to protect it so that there is never that day that comes along that says, hi, my name is Warren Buffett and I got the last glass of water. My name is Bill Gates and I got the last glass of water. Hi, I'm the curly-headed Facebook kid, and I got the last glass of water. I don't know what his name is. Curly-headed Facebook kid works just as good. And this is streaming on the internet, and so maybe he's going to friend me now. I'm not sure. But all of these things that we're talking about here are very, very important. And the students that are here, those of you that are in classes you're studying some kind of social justice issues, or you're studying some kind of science, you're studying some kind of history. Make sure that the history that you're studying, the science that you're studying, the things that you're studying in the social justice include these tribal voices and these tribal issues that are there, because so many times the ones who write the histories are the ones who won the wars, right? So you need to make sure. We never really lost any of these wars. We just suffered, minor setbacks. That's how we like to look at it. But we're just now learning to write, so we're writing these things in the best way that we can. Oral societies now, there's no letters. So we're making these things on paper as best we can. But those of you that are studying, you need to study all sides of it and look at these things, not just as some way to get letters behind your name. Some of you are going to be AA, BA, BS, PhD. No, not BS, come on. You're going to have all of those things. I have SAI after mine. Somebody suggested that because I have no letters after my name. They said, you could have Marc Franco, SAI, and I asked them, what does that mean? They said, smart-ass Indian. And so I thank you so much. Again, you've listened to the powerful words, and I thought that I would bring you a little bit of a smile before we finish this up with this ceremony. And so I want to thank you all. Thank my chief, thank Grandma over here, and again, all of you for your time.